Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. On today's show, is a 3-game suspension for Urban Meyer a sufficient punishment? Plus, USA Today columnist Jarrett Bell joins the show to discuss a growing list of concerns for the Cowboys. And could Kevin Durant team up with LeBron James down the road? We've got a packed show today. Skip Shannon, let's get to it. Last night, Ohio State suspended Urban Meyer for the first 3 games of the season after their investigation found he mishandled domestic abuse allegations against a former assistant coach. The school said that even though Urban did not condone or cover up the domestic abuse, he failed to take sufficient action. They also said he did not, quote, deliberately lie when asked about it at Big Ten Media Day. Athletic Director Gene Smith was also suspended. Let's take a listen to Urban Meyer yesterday.
I'm fully aware that I'm ultimately responsible for the situation that has harmed the university as a whole and our Department of Athletics and our football program. I want to apologize to Buckeye Nation. I followed my heart, not my head. I fell short in pursuing full information because at each juncture, I gave Zach Smith the benefit of the doubt. I did a poor job at Media Day. It's a big reason why we're here today. I was not being as complete and as accurate as I should have been at Media Day and afterward. But there is no intent to mislead. My role is to set a good example. In this instant, I did not live up to the university's standards. The suspensions are tough, but I fully accept them. I wish I could go back and make the different decisions, but I can't. These difficult lessons are a constant reminder of the duties and obligations that I have as a member of this university and this community.
What message do you have for Courtney Smith?
Well, I have a message for everyone involved in this. I'm sorry that we're in this situation. And I'm just sorry we're in this situation.
Skip, was the punishment enough?
It was not nearly enough. And clearly, a majority of college football or basketball or whatever coaches would have been fired under the same circumstance. And what's most offensive is that if you study the punishment as it was doled out, Urban Meyer will miss the first game completely, but for the game 2 and game 3 weeks, he can coach the team and prepare the team. He just can't go stand on the sideline. But I'm going to suggest that he will be in touch with people in the press box, which will be relayed down to the field, and I think he will have strategic impact and input on games 2 and 3. So this is completely out of bounds to really just, it's not even a slap on the wrist. It's just a little tap on the wrist. That's all. So we found out from the investigation done by the Ohio State University that he blatantly lied, even though they said he didn't deliberately lie. I don't know how you can not deliberately lie when you stand in front of the Big Ten Media Day and say, I know nothing about any of this 2015 or 2009. You know nothing about it? How could somebody create a story like this? Because this happened, and that happened. And we know for a fact that he had his director of football operations show him how to delete text messages on his phone from more than a year back. So those were all gone when they did the investigation. And we know for a fact that only recently, Urban Meyer signed a new contract that included language that required him to divulge to Ohio State's compliance department anything that he would know about anything involving any sort of domestic violence or sexual assault. So he didn't do any of that. He kept that all to himself, and Gene Smith oversaw that, although I give Gene Smith this. He did send a text message to Urban ahead of Big Ten Media Day saying, if you're asked about what we know about 2015 and 2009, you need to go ahead and come clean with it. And he deliberately...
He lied.
He just lied. And he ignored the order of his superior, Gene Smith, to go ahead and divulge at Big Ten Media Day. So in the big picture of this, Urban Meyer has only 2 legs to stand on. And again, you and I went back and forth on this earlier, but there is the fact that remains that Zach Smith was never convicted of any sort of domestic violence. He was arrested for, but he was never convicted of. And in the investigation, Urban Meyer and his wife, Shelley, testified to the investigators that they doubt the credibility and veracity of the accuser, his Zach Smith's wife, which we hear again and again. I'm very open about that. We hear again and again this victim shaming. But but we've been through it before, and I don't know what to believe about that, but that's what they testified. And I believe that testimony, coupled with the fact that he was never convicted, that was just the loophole through which Ohio State was able to slip and say, well, we'll just tap him on the wrist.
That was the loophole they wanted to slip through.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Skip. We have to be very, very cautious of this because a lot of these domestic violence and sexual assault cases are never prosecuted. There is no conviction. But there's a lot of people that have lost their jobs with no convictions. We've seen this Me Too. There's a lot of people that's unemployed currently with no convictions. There's a lot of people with domestic violence on their resume that doesn't have a job with no conviction. So I don't know if that's the standard that we're going to use. Unless there's a conviction, there is no, we absolve everybody. I don't know if I really want to go there. I get everybody should have their due process, but there's so much going on here. After Zach Smith was fired, there in this report, this is 7:35, Shelley Meyer conveyed, and he texted Coach Meyer, I'm worried about Zach Smith. He drinks a lot, and I'm just not sure how stable he'll be, Skip. I'm afraid he'll do something dangerous. It's obvious he has an anger and rage issues already.
Okay.
Now, you believe the guy is unstable. You believe that he has drinking and rage issues, but you don't believe what Courtney Smith is telling you about what he's done. That's what you said. You just conveyed that. You said he has issues.
Yep.
He drinks, he has rage, but she's lying. Wow. You see, Skip, this is how it works. And we know this. If I like you, Jenny, if somebody tells me something about you, I'm not going to believe it because I like you. I don't believe Jenny would do. Nah, not the Jenny I know. But if I don't, yeah, I believe it. That sounds like something Jenny
again,
would do.
to your point, the mentor of Urban Meyer was one Earl Bruce,
Correct.
a former head coach, no longer with us, but a former head coach at The Ohio State University. And as Urban grew up under him, he had a grandson named Zach Smith. So Zach Smith became somewhat like a son to Urban Meyer.
Right.
So did he look the other way? Well, he admits he did. He said, I let my heart overrule my head.
It's called paying it forward. Someone gives you an opportunity, someone in that family, what do, Skip? If you get an opportunity, you pay it forward. You give him the same opportunity somebody gave you. But the thing is, for him to lie, to say he has no knowledge, and just blatantly lie, and in 2018, we just have a hard time of fact just saying, man, you lied. That's a lie. I forget exactly how the Orwellian quote goes, Skip. They says, repetitions of a lie that goes uncorrected gets chronicled as the truth.
I think that happens down through history a lot.
Yes. Yeah. So, Urban, this is not he didn't intend to lie, he misspoke. He flat out lied. He knew what the reporter was asking him to be true. He said he knew nothing when he knew everything. And then you made that. Where do you guys make these stories up at? Make it up and then to pretend like nothing happened. I don't know how Gene Smith, the athletic director, kept his job. I still don't know.
He got suspended, but he didn't lose his job.
Man,
2 scandals.
I mean, a quarterback, a guy can get 4 games for selling sneakers. And a head coach that's making got a $35 million, $40 million contract, Skip.
$7 million a year. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Really? Is that where we are? We're going to punish the kid for selling some shoes, 4 games, and a guy that's making $7 million a year lied and covered it up. Repeatedly lied and covered it up and had an opportunity. There were several opportunities, Skip. He could have did the right thing. He had so many opportunities, so many, to say, you know what, Zach, I love you like a son, but I got to let you go.
Well, and so he could have shown some contrition at last night's press session.
That made it worse.
It did not help.
It did not help, but I guess he's thinking in his head, I can't show contrition because it'll show some guilt on my part, and I don't think I'm guilty. And clearly, as he was forced to read this statement that he didn't write, he's just monotoning the words. He didn't believe a word that he was reading.
Apologize to Buckeye Nation first. The first name out of his mouth should have been Courtney Smith. Courtney, I let you down. I am so sorry.
Yeah.
But like you said, I'm sure his attorney probably said, look, whatever you do, you admit nothing. So that's the story. You stick with it because, there might be some lawsuit or coming down the pipeline, and we don't want you to be a part of any of that. But, man, and the president, boy. Urban, good thing you're a great coach, bro. Because if you were a 500 coach,
He'd be gone.
you'd be looking for
Because it would be a stain on the university, and they'd say, we can't survive this one. We've got to let him go. But when you're 73-8 as the head coach at Ohio State, and you've won 2 Big Ten championships and a national championship,
And your favorite again?
your favorite again. They're going to do everything in their power to keep you, because in the end, they can.
Yeah.
They're not.
Ain't no federal
breaking
law
the
that says you
no,
have right. There's
no.
no federal law that says you have to let him go.
Yeah. I don't know Title IX law well enough, but I think there could be a violation here just because he did not disclose.
Right.
Which he should have.
So which is a fireable offense?
I don't. That's by the letter of the law of his contract. That's fireable.
I don't know, Skip. But he might have signed that contract because he has memory issues.
Oh, and that's the other thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because they brought up in the report that Coach Meyer takes medicine that can hurt his memory on occasion. Really? Well, then how can you be the head coach at Ohio State?
That's not a good look, Skip. I don't know if I'd have said that. I would have left that out. I would have left that out, Skip.
The medication, you would have not said that? Or
Yeah, I would have left that medication part out because it makes it look worse. Here's a guy, you got a guy running one of the top 3 programs in all the country, and you got him and he has memory issues? Really?
So then what else is he missing in that sense? It's not good either. I hadn't thought about it that way. There are layers to this, and it doesn't get better the more we talk about it. It leaves you with a pit in your
I agree with
stomach.
that. The more you talk, the worse it sounds.
Yeah.
It does,
Yeah.
and the more we're reading about the investigation, and it's far from
Police,
over.
y'all got to do a better job. If you guys were called as many times as it says that you were called, what's going on?
And where Ohio State is at risk is going forward as Urban Meyer goes back out on the recruiting trail. What do moms and dads think of Urban Meyer's ethics and character now? Maybe not a lot.
It has to be affected in some capacity.
No mercy.
Well, the Cowboys have not gotten a lot of good news this preseason. On the offensive line, Zach Martin injured his knee, and Travis Frederick is out with an autoimmune disease. They also have a group of unproven receivers after losing Jason Witten and Dez Bryant. On the defensive side, they have a young and inexperienced secondary and reportedly had a chance to trade for Earl Thomas, but chose not to do so. We're joined now by NFL columnist for the USA Today, Jarrett Bell, and we're so glad to
Quick
have you.
thought here. I've known Jarrett Bell since our days together way back when at the Dallas Times-Herald. And Jarrett Bell is an NFL authority. So we appreciate you being here.
Okay, you
Lucky
have
us.
raised the
I've raised the
bar.
bar,
Right?
and you
No,
can
I
live
like
up
that,
to it.
though. I'm okay
Yes.
with that.
All right.
Well, since we do want to get your take on this, if the Cowboys are in trouble.
Well, you think about it this way. Every team in the NFL has some sort of adversity they're going to have to deal with at some point in the season. Now, we'll see if it gets any worse. You just can't predict these things. But remember, the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl last year with a backup quarterback. The Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl last year without All-Pro left tackle Jason Peters.
That's true.
Darren Sproles, Hicks, the linebacker, Brandon Hicks.
Yeah.
So you have to deal with these things. That's the challenge right now for the Cowboys, but it doesn't look good right now. Remember when Tyron Smith got hurt last year and they gave up like 6 sacks to one guy?
One guy, Adrian Claiborne. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what the Cowboys really have to be concerned about, is whether or not all of their best laid plans. You got Zeke back. He's being a good citizen.
Yeah.
You've got Dak back.
3 years in the system.
Exactly. So you've got all these things lined up. Oh, by the way, yeah, you mentioned the receiver, so that's going to be something they're going to have to develop. But, over and all, it's like, hey, this is the NFL. You've got to put out fires. That's part of the job.
And when you were at Cowboy camp, what level of optimism did you sense?
Oh, I thought that they felt like at that time, and this is before the offensive line injuries, obviously, the first week or so of camp, they felt like everything was in place. The receiver situation was the big question back then, and how you develop that, without Dez Bryant and Jason Witten, obviously. But, you can do so much when you have Ezekiel Elliott, and you've got him running behind that offensive line. And there was a lot of talk back then at the start of camp about how they were going to incorporate Ezekiel Elliott in the passing game. I mean, you put him out in space. I remember that one play at Pittsburgh a couple years ago, and he takes a little dump-off pass and goes like...
Screen goes 80.
Yeah, exactly. So they can envision that. So Yeah, the Cowboys have been kind of funny when it comes to the consistency thing. They're up one year, they're down one year, they're up another year, they're down another year. And this is supposed to be the year they're supposed to be up, right?
Yep, that's
so we'll
true.
see.
It's going to be very interesting. They could ill afford to lose these two guys. Zach Martin, he looks like he will probably be back. I doubt he'll play anymore in the preseason with that hyperextended knee. The more uncertain is Travis Fredericks dealing with the autoimmune deficiency disease that he's dealing with. But if you lose those two guys and the lack of playmakers that they already are insufficient on offense, as you mentioned, there's no tight end that puts fear in you. There's no receiver that puts fear in you. You need to run the football with Zeke and then play action off of it, and maybe you're going to get some one-on-one coverage because they got to drop that guy down in the box to stop the run. Skip, they got really three playmakers on this entire team. Sean Lee, DeMarcus Lawrence, who I'd like to see a bigger body of work, and Zeke. That's it. That's it. Now, you lose those two offensive linemen, and I know Rod Smart did some good things filling in, but
Rod Smith.
Rod Smith.
Yeah.
But if you lose those two guys, it's hard for me to imagine that they're going to be able to run the football as effectively as without them. I just don't see it, Skip. I just can't see a situation you lose two of the top 5 or 6 offensive linemen in all of football, and you're going to be able to do exactly what you wanted to do offensively. I just don't see a scenario with that happening. And when they had their most success in 2016, ball control, they controlled the clock, and they kept their defense off the field. And when they hit the field, they were fresh and they could get after you. They play a lot of snaps. They're going to get worn down.
So you're telling me that no defensive coordinator in the National Football League fears Blake Jarwin? Because that's their new tight end, Blake Jarwin.
No.
Yikes.
No.
That's my new tight end, Blake Jarwin.
That's your guy.
Yeah.
What happened to your other guy? I thought you liked Rico. You was
know
telling
what
me about
happened to
Rico.
Rico.
No, you was telling me all off Rico.
He's a
Watch
stud.
it.
I
Watch
think
it.
they're just missing the boat on him.
Basketball guy.
He's a big basketball guy. He's 6 feet 6 inches. of
Yeah, you saw him.
basketball guy.
How'd he look?
Oh, I've been watching him ever since he came off the basketball court at Baylor for a couple years now, and have always been, like the Cowboys, I'm sure, intrigued by his potential in the end zone. Okay, you're
Just
6
red
foot
zone.
6.
Yeah, just throw it to him.
Yeah, you do that. But here's the problem: the guy hasn't played much football, and in terms of not only being able to recognize coverages on the fly as you're playing and just really instinctively. And Shannon, you being a tight end, know as well as anybody. But talk about this for a second, Mr. Sharpe, Mr. Hall of Famer. The skill of blocking for a tight end, even if you're not, quote unquote, a big time blocking tight end. How difficult is that?
Well, it seems to me that Jerry's saying he can block once he knows who to block. The thing for him is that when people move around, it's like he freezes. And that's the thing. Tell you, coach told me, he said, son, block the guy head up, inside eye, most dangerous man. That's what you go with that situation. And see, I guess from reading what Jerry said, as long as the guy doesn't move or the defense is stationary, he's good, Skip. But no defense is going to stay stationary. That's the whole thing, is to move around and cause confusion. So he's going to have to pick up those things. There's nothing like playing football. He's a basketball guy that doesn't have a whole lot of football plays up under his belt. So
I am here to predict that one Joe Looney is the Nick Foles of backup center. He's going to come in and he's going to make the Pro Bowl as Joe Looney. I don't think so. But
Well, here, let me give you a little silver lining in the half full, half empty equation here when it comes to him. Of all the Cowboys' backup linemen, right? We know how good their front line is.
Pretty good.
Yeah, he's like the best of the backups.
I know, but is he Nick Foles of the backup centers? I don't know.
I wouldn't go that far.
You can't say that. But maybe, you're talking about a guy who is in his 7th year. He's been around. He started 13 games. He's had a lot of reps with the first team, and he's had to fill in here and there. So it's not like you're relying on just, a garbage man.
Jarrett Bell, I need you to explain one thing to me. There is one game-saving, game-changing, Shannon Sharpe wrecking move that Jerry Jones could make. And it's on a silver platter. It is screaming to be made. Please do this deal.
Who?
It is Earl Thomas. It is please do it, because Earl Thomas obviously is from Texas, went to the University of Texas, and would love to end his career with the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys do have cap space to sign Earl Thomas, because it would take a lot of cap space, but they got it. And they do have next year's second-round pick, and by all reports, by all accounts, it would take only year 2 to get Earl Thomas. Now, would Seattle be foolish to do that deal, as Tony Dungy said? To me, they would, but if they would do that, it would be game over. It would rectify the situation of losing a Travis Frederick for maybe the whole year, because the odds are telling me that he's going to be gone for the year with this autoimmune.
At least half the year.
At least half the year, and even if he comes back, you're still fighting weakness, and he won't be a Pro Bowl center. So this is the move that changes everything, because if you add Earl Thomas to the locker room, what happens in the locker room the next day? We got Earl Thomas, man.
Yeah.
Does it kind of tick off some of the kid safeties they got? I don't care, but because Earl Thomas comes in and becomes the quarterback of the defense. Why wouldn't you do this? Why is Jerry resting on his Hall of Fame laurels? Because that's what he's doing. He used to be the ultimate NFL plunger. This is Charles Haley all over again. And by the way, in 1992, on August the 27th, Jerry Jones pulled off a trade for Charles Haley. And what did it do? It won the Super Bowl for Dallas. That's what he was, the catalyst to a Super Bowl defense that was a year away from being ready to go win a Super Bowl. And they did. So it's not too late. August 27th. We're not quite there yet, right?
That's the day, August 27th. And they've got Chris Richard, who was in Seattle, defensive coordinator, running the defense that Earl Thomas knows. You know, they did bring in a safety this week, Jaron Johnson.
Jerron Johnson.
Jerron, okay.
Yeah. They got him from Seattle because he was coaching high school football in Seattle.
And gave him number 29.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
They thought they got Earl Thomas. They said, well, maybe we'll play like Earl Thomas.
We'll fool some people. But here's the deal. You said it, Skip. Jerry Jones used to be primed to make a move like this right then, right now. I think this kind of reflects what's kind of happened with the Cowboys in recent years in terms of Stephen Jones having more of the sway in the front office with Will McClay at his side. And Jerry has kind of, allowed them to do more of this. At least that's the sense I get. You talk to Jerry and, he'll tell you he's involved in all the decisions, which I'm sure he is, and they run things by him. But, the Cowboys have operated with a lot more caution. I mean, we're talking about Travis Frederick.
Caution and Cowboys in the same sense?
Think about it. I mean,
Zach Martin or Johnny Manziel.
Right.
That works.
Yeah, so that kind of underscores, the philosophy here. So I think there's some of that here, but at some point, you've got to make the move that can help you do it. And like you said, you've got the capital to do it from a trade standpoint, to give up the second-round pick. The money, we've seen safeties always devalued in terms of the draft and the money. But when you're talking about the best safety perhaps in the NFL, one of the top 2 or 3, then there's a case to be made for striking a deal that gets it done. And when you feel like you are this close to getting back and having to close the gap on the Eagles, which is not going to be easy on a lot of levels. We talk about the offensive line. Just think about the matchups against Philadelphia and who's going to block Fletcher Cox and Tim Jernigan. Shoot, week 1.
Bennett, Bennett, they got Haloti Ngata.
Don't forget the guy who knocked
Brendan
the ball
Graham.
out of Brady's hand.
So you talk about the matchup. So, you do need something if you're the Cowboys to really kind of swing the
NFC is loaded this year. The NFC with Green Bay and New Orleans and the Rams and Minnesota, this is not going to be easy. They have their work cut out for them. And if you're down two offensive linemen, 2 of the top 5 or 6, 7 offensive linemen, at worst case scenario, Zach Martin is the number 1 right guard. Travis Fredericks is, by worst case scenario, the 3rd. If you like if you like Jason Kelsey, Alex Mack from Atlanta at center.
I'll buy that.
So you got 2, a top guard, the top 3 center, and you're going to be without 2 of those guys. Get Earl Thomas. It makes DeMarcus Lawrence's job a lot easier.
Everything feels better.
Everything. You got to have that guy. Because I think the secondary is the weak link of the Dallas Cowboys defense.
Yeah. And yet Jerry Jones the other day dared to say that this defense has as much talent as any I've ever been around. What? Any? With the Dion is weird. Haley and Darren Woodson is weird.
Oh, my goodness.
So. They remember they had Tolbert, they had Russell Maryland, they had Casillas, they had Leon Lett.
Sometimes you're just better not saying anything.
Especially that team won the Super Bowl. It's hard to quantify. How do you get better than winning the Super Bowl?
I don't know.
And yeah, and when you start talking about best and never and stuff like that, you know, there's got to have some restraint. So you got to have the kind of restraint in the messages, just like you've had the restraint on dealing for Earl Thomas, and you need to kind of flip that, right?
Flip it.
Yeah.
Do it, Jerry, now.
Time is now 2 weeks exactly
I
from
would be-
the beginning of the season.
Jared asked me, did I have an actual storefront restaurant? I don't, but I will be serving dew along with my W's and L's in my restaurant this year.
Are you going to buy it from me?
No.
You owe me 11 cases.
Well, I would be down to 6.
Oh, down to 6. How are you going to do that
Because
exactly?
the Cowboys not making the playoffs.
Oh.
We do this every day, just so you
Cowboys
know.
not making the
Here,
playoffs.
Jared.
Yeah, I've caught the restaurant references, and I was like, wait a minute, where's this place?
Well, we're glad you're here.
No mercy.
Support for Undisputed comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, America's premier home purchase lender. Let's talk about buying a home. It can be one of the most important purchases you'll ever make. But today's fluctuating interest rates can leave you with unexpected higher payments, which can turn a great experience into an anxious one. That's why Quicken Loans created their exclusive power buying process. Here's how it works. They check your income, assets, and credit to give you a verified approval. This gives you the strength of a cash buyer, making your offer more attractive to sellers. Once verified, you qualify for their exclusive Rate Shield approval. They'll lock your interest rate for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. Then, once you've found the one, if rates have gone up, your rate stays the same. But if rates have gone down, you get to keep that new lower rate. Either way, you win. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/undisputed. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data records. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
No mercy.
The Patriots made an already thin group of receivers even thinner yesterday by releasing veteran Kenny Britt. He's the third receiver New England has let go since the start of training camp. Tom Brady has been working with a new cast of characters after losing Danny Amendola, Malcolm Mitchell, and Jordan Matthews. Britt's release led many to connect the dots to Des Bryant, but NFL Network reported the Patriots have, quote, probably no interest in Des. Shannon, should the Patriots have any interest in Des?
I think they should explore it. They should do their due diligence, and I'm sure they will. Coach Belichick does not look at outside pressures and say, well, this guy can't do this, he can't. They'll do their homework, Skip. They'll do their evaluations, and Coach Belichick will come to the conclusion, can this guy help us? And if he comes in here, can he conform to the Patriot way? Can he come in here, do his job without causing disruptions? That's what Coach Belichick looks at, because we thought there's no way he and Corey Dillon's going to make it a day. There's no way he and Randy Moss are going to make it a week. And arguably, they had the greatest statistical season in the NFL history with Randy Moss, and they won a Super Bowl with Corey Dillon. So clearly, he knows how to handle combustible personalities. The question is that you trade Brandon Cooks, you cut Malcolm Mitchell, you cut Jordan Matthews, you just cut Kenny Britt. You're going to be the first 4 games without Julian Edelman. Okay, that leaves you with Eric Decker. That leaves you with Hogan. They drafted this young kid, but he's a rookie. You have Gronk. Outside of that, Skip, the thing that's concerning with me, Dez has basically been the X receiver lining up on the left side of the football.
Every time.
He doesn't play, he's not a move guy. I don't know this for certain, but it looks to me, when I watch them play, it looks like Hogan could play Amendola slot, Amendola can play Hogan slot, who could then play Edelman slot, who could then play wherever. The question is, how fast could you get Dez up to speed where he could do all these things? That's the question, Skip. It's not easy when you haven't been a guy that's played multiple positions and all they've done was allow you to learn one position. The thing for us, Skip, when I played in Denver, I had to know what Rod Smith had to do, who was X. I had to know what Ed had to do, who was Z, what the zebra position had to do. I was the Y. But we had to know just in case somebody get nicked. Yeah, they had backups, but Mike felt comfortable if somebody got nicked in the starter that unless it was like, say, Willie Green or someone that was proven, he felt more comfortable moving myself or Ed or Rod to one of those positions and playing. So the question is, Dez having only played X receiver, lining up and not moving basically his entire career, how soon could he get caught up to speed? Because what we've heard is that the Patriots have a very, very complicated playbook. And you play, and Tom Brady, hey, and one thing that what got Tom Brady upset last week that caused him to punt the ball in the crowd, Skip? They were dropping passes. If you don't mind me asking, in 2017, who dropped the most passes in NFL? Okay. I don't know if it's a great match. Dropping the ball, putting the ball on the dirt, and not being able to play multiple positions. It doesn't seem like a match made in heaven to me.
So, you know how I now feel about Bill Belichick when it comes to Tom Brady. If he decides that Des Bryant can in no way help Tom Brady, he'll sign him.
Stop it, Skip.
He'll sign him.
Only you would come to that kind of realization and
Only
rationalization.
me, and I think I'm right about that. But back to your premise. Corey Dillon had some baggage when Bill Belichick took a shot with him.
He did.
But was Corey Dillon in the middle of his prime? Yes, he
Yes,
was.
he was.
You could say he was later in his prime, but he was still in his prime.
Yeah.
Was Randy Moss still in his prime?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, he
Right.
was. He had his best season ever, 2007. Chad Ochocinco. Now, Chad Johnson, my friend, our friend here on the show, he still had something left in the tank when Bill brought him in. And it was very different because Bill knew Chad.
Right.
Bill had worked out other players where Chad had been at workouts at the LA Coliseum here, and Chad can run all day. And Chad's got a big heart and loves to play football. He never ran the most precise routes in Cincinnati because he could mostly just run by people, as you know, and let TJ Hushmanzada run all the underneath stuff. And it took Chad a long time to get on Tom Brady's wavelength. But Tom loved him, and finally they got him one ball in the Super Bowl. Remember that? Okay. But it didn't really work out. But all the players with baggage, Albert Haynesworth, LeGarrette Blount, Aqib Talib, Brandon Browner, I could go on and on. They all could still play, right? I'm not sure Dez can still play. I'm not sure what's left. I saw broken down last year. I saw shell of self. And to your point, I saw a guy who had lost a little bit of speed and a little bit of quickness and just couldn't separate anymore because he can't out-route you. You know, like he was never forced. He was always so much better than everybody, so much bigger and stronger, high point the ball, jump ball you, that he never had to rely on supreme route running to escape, right, to get open. Well, last year he did, and he couldn't do it because he's never had to do it before.
Right.
Well, with this quarterback, you have to be on a dime.
Right.
You got to be exactly where you're supposed to be, exactly when you're supposed to be there. And
there's no ad-libbing.
There's no ad-libbing. This would be, to me, I couldn't pick a receiver that would be a worse fit for Tom Brady than Des Bryant at this stage of his career.
Right.
Maybe if Tom got him in his first year or two, you could figure it out.
Right.
But now, really?
Because the thing let's just say when Chad was in, Ochocinco was in Cincinnati, he was with Carson Palmer, they might have an out-breaking route. But the way, if the DB lined up outside, Chad would run in, break it, and Carson would know that.
He would just know.
Right. But that's not how most offenses are.
No.
If you're supposed to go outside, you run the outside right.
I agree. And Chad was as great a deep threat for those couple of years as you will ever see in this
And he can
league.
run the route tree. Chad was tremendous. He run that speed out where you 10 roll to 12 and fall off the table. His end cut. I mean, he was nimble on his feet. Dez is not a tap guy.
Yeah.
So it's not a good fit, Skip, to my eye. But Coach Belichick, what he does is that he can see things that from the outside we may not see.
Maybe.
So, but I believe Coach Belichick would do his due diligence. They will look at it. They'll come to a conclusion. Either he can or he can't, and they'll move on. My bigger concern for Dez, how's his confidence? Skip, we're getting ready to
Can
start.
be very good.
Skip, we're getting ready to start the season.
Yeah, and to your point, you got to learn this in what?
In 10 days.
practices? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
And the thing is, when you they try to force feed it to you, and then you get brain overload, and then you what is that? Tom Brady. Listen, when Tom Brady come out the huddle, he's not really trying to tell you, it's going to be this coverage and this is what you need to do. Tom Brady needs to know everybody knows what they're supposed to do and get to where they're supposed to get to. Tom's like, I got enough on my plate. Can't be worried about do you know what you need to do.
So it has come to this for Des Bryant. Look how desperate New England appears to be, in part because Bill Belichick keeps making bizarre decisions, but He traded Brandon Cooks. Was he not Tom Brady's most reliable deep threat, his only deep threat last
Best
year?
deep threat since Randy.
So he got a first back for him. That works. Yeah. But the Rams immediately gave Brandon Cooks 5 years and $80 million with $50 million guaranteed. What does that tell you that the Rams thought of Brandon Cooks? Thank you very much, Bill, right? And then the Patriots acquire my guy, Jordan Matthews from Vanderbilt University, the all-time leading receiver, catches and yards in the Southeastern Conference. And I think, okay, this will work because he's a good kid, big heart. He's sort of like Chad, loves to play football, hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he couldn't really stay healthy, but gone. Malcolm Mitchell had a good Super Bowl against Atlanta. Looked like he had some game to him, and he couldn't quite stay healthy, and he's gone. And Kenny Britt, I thought he had something left in the tank, and he's a big, strong receiver. Couldn't stay healthy, gone. Julian Edelman, gone for the first 4 games.
Right.
So it's down to Chris Hogan and Philip Dorsett, and I'm not sure about whether he's ever going to figure it out.
They do have Cordarrelle Patterson.
Okay, and he's a kick returner who might moonlight a little bit as a receiver, but just moonlight. And your guy from Denver, Eric Decker, who's bounced around now and has been battered. Yep, and he can't catch consistently. And so you would think this would be the perfect landing place for Des Bryant, and I would bet against this. I just think there's no way.
What this tells me, Skip, that Coach Belichick is not going to let you suck up his air conditioning and get his ice bath if you're not going to be able to contribute. These guys were nicked, and Coach Belichick says you're not going to get healthy on my time and not be able to contribute or be able to contribute in a timely manner. Coach Belichick ain't got time to be waiting for a guy to get ready by week 6, week 7. I need you to start the season. And it doesn't look, Coach Belichick looks at it like this, and I've always felt this. If you limp into the season, you limp out the season. And here are guys that are nicked up in camp, Skip. They can't get on the same. Tom needs time, and Tom hadn't played with any of these guys, so he needs to work, and he can't get it.
So what do I always tell you about Tom Brady? I believe that for the season opener, a half hour before kickoff, he could walk up into the 5th or 6th row and say, you 3 guys from Southie, you 3, just come down here. I'm going to show you how to play receiver, and I'm going to go win this game with you 3 from Southie. That's what I think he could do.
Aaron Rodgers could do that because he would know how to talk to guys.
Aaron
Rod know how to talk. He's like, look, guys, this is what we're going to do. I want you to line up here.
Yeah, because he would talk their language a little better than Tom Brady from wherever he's from, right? From San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Yeah.
But he's a Bostonite now. He's been in Boston
he has.
long enough. So,
yeah. So I want to remind everybody, despite all of this going on with the lack of receivers,
you want him to sign Dez?
The New England Patriots are still the favorite to win it all.
Do you
know why that is? Because they still have the best quarterback.
Do you
Simple.
Do you want them
to
sign? Do you want them to sign Dez?
I do not. Absolutely not.
That's a shame.
No, I do not.
They're going to have to find help somewhere. If he picked you out of the crowd, you think you could get the job done?
I'd be good. I can run all day. I can tell you that.
So confident.
I can run all day.
First of all, at the pace you're going, they're going to need you to speed that up a little bit.
I run those 6:30s. I can still do 6:30.
Man, the first time you burst, you're going to pull a hamstring.
I don't know about that.
Skip, you ain't had to run that pace. I know you can run distance. You probably run for an hour straight.
Oh, I'll run for more than that.
It's about more my style. Oh, more than that. Okay, I did set you up for that one.
No mercy.
There were a bunch of angry Minnesotans, and I know a few of those people. Yesterday, after newly signed Viking safety George Iloka was wearing Adrian Peterson's number 28 jersey at practice. It looked weird. Iloka said he's not planning on wearing Peterson's number, and quote, "I just think that was the only number available, so they just threw me in it." I'm so glad we have Eric Dickerson here with us.
That was the only number available.
Only number.
Only number available.
Is it disrespectful?
The Rams should throw somebody into that 29 someday, right?
You didn't tell them I wish they might.
Come on. I'm sorry.
No, is it disrespectful in your opinion, Eric?
You know what? I would say yes and no because, look, football goes on, with or without you. But a player like Adrian Peterson, to me, would be a first ballot Hall of Famer for the Minnesota Vikings. No matter how it ended, he's the guy. When you look at 28, you'll always think of Adrian Peterson wearing number 28, not George, whatever his name. Nothing against him, but nothing against him. I can tell you, matter of fact, I think in 1993 they put a guy in my jersey by the name of Dexter Davis.
Ooh.
And he was a defensive back. Yeah, I think he made a Pro Bowl, but I think I was still playing.
Yeah.
And it was odd, but my friend Todd Light told me a story. He said, Eric, I got a story to tell you. He said, in 1991, when I got drafted to the Rams, he said, Mr. Hewitt came to me with number, the numbers them away. So he gave me number 29. I looked at it. I said, I can't wear this number. He said, why? He said, it's Eric Dickerson's number. He said, but Eric Dickerson don't. He said, I'm not wearing this number, so I can't wear this number. So
really?
that's how he became number 41.
And Todd Light was a good player.
And Todd Light was a good player. Yeah. So it's just certain numbers that you don't wear. Like I look at Ricky Jackson. I'm gonna take Ricky Jackson, my friend, if I'm the Saints. Now Ricky's the only Hall of Famer for the New Orleans Saints. They have never retired his number. Matter of fact, they have a guy wearing his number now. I think it's Okafor, and he got drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, and he's wearing his number. I think that is really disrespectful. This is your only Hall of Fame guy, and you're having someone wear his number. So most definitely, I don't feel like anyone should ever wear Adrian Peterson's number. I mean, he's iconic. He's number 20, and I think, like I said, he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer when he retires from football.
Yeah, it's the preseason. Who cares? Give him 50. Give him 52. Skip, you're the preseason. When I played the preseason, they gave me number 1. I thought it was cool, Skip, because in high school I was 3, in college I was 2. I was like, oh, I'm number 1 in the NFL. It didn't dawn on me that they give guys that they're going to cut, they give them bullshit numbers. It didn't dawn on me till later. I'm like, whoa. So y'all basically said, y'all can take this number back, get me up out of here. George, take any number.
Okay, just for the record, George Iloka has been a 6-year starter for the Bengals. He's I'm not going to say he's just a good player. He's a good player.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, he's a good player.
All right.
But Adrian Peterson, you're going to make a case. Okay, who's the best all-time Viking? Adrian Peterson, Randy Moss, Alan Page, Fran Tarkenton, Chris Carter, Randy Moss. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. George Iloka ain't going to ever be thought of as a Minnesota Viking or an all-time great Minnesota Viking. But I get it, Skip. For me, if I'm George, I'm like 28. I ain't finna with that.
I think he figured that out after a while, right?
Yeah, after the fans, they show him and he got 28 on in practice. Huh? They're like, that ain't me. That ain't me. No. You try to stay away from that. You go to a team, think about it, Skip. You go to New England. You think I'm gonna let them they're gonna put somebody in 12?
What?
What? I don't want 87 either. If I'm a tight end, y'all, 87, you better get that number away from me.
There have been a bunch of 84s in Denver, though, haven't there?
Yeah, they have. You know what?
Well, that's a good point. Ooh.
You know what?
They retire your number.
I need to talk to Joe Ellis about that.
You should.
They be putting there some of everybody, dude dropping the ball, making it look bad.
All right, before I go, Jenny Taft, as a longtime Vikings fan, were you offended by this?
Yes, it looked weird. I had so many friends actually say, can you please get Skip and Shannon to weigh in on this? This is not right. It's just, there are too many memories and they shouldn't be taken away.
Okay. Were those same fans down on Adrian in 2014 when he got suspended for almost the whole season for, as you know, he pleaded no contest to misdemeanor reckless assault when he hit his 4-year-old kid. We can go into whether you can love it or not love it or whatever, you can agree or disagree, but I think there were those in Minneapolis and the surrounding areas who did not love what Adrian did.
Yeah,
sure.
Right?
Of course.
All over. That wasn't just Minneapolis.
Sure. Okay. So it felt like from a distance, it did not end that well for Adrian in Minnesota because he had an option for one more year at $18 million, and he was not living up to that contract at that point. So the Vikings said, thanks, but no thanks. And he said, I want to go explore. They said, you can go explore. You can shop yourself on the market and see what you can get. And obviously, as great backs often do, they all do, as you well know, he overestimated his market value at this stage of his career.
Correct.
And he wound up taking, I think it was a grand total of $3.5 million to play for Minnesota, for New Orleans last year. And now he's playing for $1.05 million to try to make the roster of the Washington Redskins. So he overestimated what he had left. And we had Chris Carter on the show, obviously, all through last year saying he should have just said, I'll take whatever you'll give me to finish here in Minnesota, right?
I believe they would have given him at least what New Orleans gave him.
Something
At the bare minimum, they give him
something like that. Could he have swallowed that much pride to take it? Because if he had, I don't think they would be handing out 28 to Ilokas, because if he was retiring as a Viking, maybe it'd be last year or maybe this year, maybe it'd be one last hurrah as almost the backup running back, then the sun would set correctly on Adrian in Minneapolis, like it would be a feel-good end to the story, like it should be for every great player. Obviously,
I agree.
okay.
I agree with that. I mean, Joe Montana, he didn't retire.
No, he did not.
He didn't retire at 49.
Okay.
Still, no one wore 16.
No.
And you're right. I mean, I think the
Well, you didn't retire.
and I didn't retire. I didn't retire with the Los Angeles Rams.
Jerry played with other teams.
Emmett Smith. Yeah. Emmett Smith. You know, he went to Arizona. So, you know,
But it didn't seem to end badly for those guys wherever they were. There was still a feel-goodness to it, like.
It kind of ended bad for
I said
Jerry.
it was not a feel good story with me when I left the Rams. I mean,
No.
that was not a feel. That was.
Because you got traded in the middle of 88, right?
87.
87.
And did I? Oh, I was mad. I mean, because I really didn't want to leave, and it was all over $1 million, basically.
Okay.
I'm making $250. I wanted $1 million. I mean, and that one thing is, you know, when you're young, and AP was, you know, younger still. When you're young, you look at things different. When you get older, you say, yeah, maybe I should have. Maybe it should have went this way. I mean, because you have more insight, you have more wisdom. But you're right.
Do you regret that you went to Indy?
You know what? I don't regret it. I don't regret because it changed the pay scale for running backs, the thing I did. You know, it really did because backs were getting reamed. You know, we wasn't getting close to the money quarterbacks were getting. And I said, I wanted money like a quarterback or close to it. And what I got quarterback money. And all of a sudden the pay scale changed. And I didn't know this. A general manager told me, he said, Eric, you probably don't know this, but they have a rule called the Dickerson rule.
Wow.
That no one can make more than you at running back. I'm like, wow. So for a couple of years, no one could make. I had that rule in place.
Okay, but you earned it. You lived up to it.
I earned it. But, you know, Adrian Peterson, he earned it. He earned what he earned. But, you know, I think it comes a time where you look at your career, all of us do, and you think you're that same guy. You really do think you're that same. You can run like, but you aren't that same guy anymore. I mean, and it's hard to admit it because I'm like, okay, I'm fast, but I'm not as fast as I used to be. I'm quick, but I'm not as quick as I used to be. And I'd admit it to myself. And it comes to a point where you say, I have to make a decision. You're right. It would have been a great decision if he would have stayed in Minnesota. I think the Vikings would have welcomed that.
Yeah, I just want to know why they keep giving out 84 in Denver. I need to talk to Joe Ellis.
So I got you.
And I need to talk to John. 84 need to be.
It need to be.
84, 30, 65.
John, as in Elway?
Elway, yeah.
He would take your call? I don't think he would.
Yeah, he would take.
Huh?
What?
Who's calling?
Yeah,
Shannon who?
I'm probably in his phone is Sharpe.
Sharpie?
Yeah.
I hope he's
Really?
listening.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh yeah.
Can I bring up one more thing?
Yeah.
We were just talking about it. You know, you probably wasn't here, me and my man here talking about getting
here
this
we
race
go
off.
again.
I got to get this race. Come on. People been talking about it. We've been tweeting about it.
Who's talking about? Like two people on Twitter?
More than two.
Oh.
My back is good. My back is good.
He had the Hall of Fame talking about
I got up to the Hall of Fame. I said,
Seriously?
come on.
Yeah.
I want to race him.
I'm up there trying to have a good time.
I'll
You know,
be
I
there.
don't get out much.
I want to race him.
Skip, I don't get out much. I'm sitting there, me and his boy Ricky Jack.
Can we make this happen?
Can we make this
I'd love to
Thank
be
you.
there.
Can we make
I'll
this
fill
happen? I'm
in.
ready.
You 60.
If I'm 60, if I'm 80, I'd run you.
Sit down, Ed.
If I'm 80, I'd run
See,
you.
you gonna have see.
I'm telling you.
You
Come
gonna be
on,
a
Shannon.
traction.
Come on, Shannon.
Hamstrings pop.
Will you be there, Skip?
Come on now.
I'll
see
still
this?
run. I'll run you.
Come on, you can't run.
I don't think I'm ever going to see this because I think one of these parties will not participate.
You know which one it is.
I'm saving mine for the pay-per-view. Old Jason Witten.
Now that I would watch.
Pay-per-view.
I
You have
would
to pay
pay
to
to
see.
watch that.
Oh, okay.
Can you outrun Jason Witten?
Oh yeah.
Oh no way. Come on, Shannon.
Right now?
You know what? I would give you a shot at that one. Just a shot.
Shut him winning. You know, shut him winning.
Really? I mean, Jason Witten. Look how cut up shit. You can tell he cut under. You know, I can't lift him, but I can outrun him.
No, I get you, Ed. I ain't gonna let no 60-year-old outrun me.
I'm not 60, man.
59.
Oh.
Shannon,
57. Get it right.
Shannon,
Yeah.
you got no shot.
I get it.
Thank you,
A
Skip.
57-year-old. I need to retire for real.
Let's make this happen, Eric.
Let's
Thank
make
you.
this- thank you very much.
Appreciate you bringing that up.
No mercy.
This week, we saw Kevin Durant and LeBron playing some pickup basketball here in LA, but rumors of them joining forces with the Lakers may have been put to rest by Warriors beat writer Mark Medina, who told Yahoo, quote, "I'm willing to make a bet on Kevin Durant. I don't see him going to the Lakers whatsoever. And I think the reason has to do with LeBron. They have a good relationship, but LeBron's the guy he wants to compete with for championships and legacy." Shannon, do you agree with that?
No, I don't think you can rule it out. I don't think anybody saw Kevin Durant joining a 73-8 Golden State Warriors team who had Steph Curry, who won 2 MVPs after Kevin Durant won his. I would think Kevin Durant viewed Steph Curry as a peer, as a rival of his. He was competing. OKC was competing with Golden State. So I don't think it's out of the realm. I mean, no one thought, like I said, no one thought KD was going to Golden State, especially after being up 3-1, especially after Golden State was 73-8, and they had a 2-time league MVP. So to say what Kevin Durant will or won't do, I don't think we can say that about KD.
You better not rule this out or you're in big trouble.
We're not in trouble, KD.
Big trouble. You know, this is highly amusing to me because now LeBron James' legacy hinges on Kevin Durant.
LeBron's legacy
thought I'd ever
is
see
already-
that.
LeBron's
It does.
legacy
It
is already-
hinges on
No,
Kevin
stop
Durant.
it.
Kevin Durant will determine whether LeBron James sinks or swims with the Lakers.
Really?
Because this year they're going to sink because they're no contender this year. Do you really? But even you don't think they're a
Third or fourth
contender.
seed.
They're not contending for the title.
What
this
did Bron
year.
tell you about whatever the seed may be?
I don't care what he told me. I know what my eyes tell me. My eyes say they are not
You
a
haven't seen
contender.
them play yet.
I already know what's going to happen. Not much will happen.
Okay.
So now,
You gonna eat those
LeBron
words.
in his 17th year, remember, next
16th.
year, the year after this one,
yeah.
would be his 17th season. So only one man could make him a contender. Only one. And it's not Kawhi Leonard. It's not Kyrie Irving.
Ka.
It's not
Kawhi.
whoever who's on the market, Jimmy Butler. It's one man. Nope. It's one man, and it's Kevin Durant. You know that. It's only Kevin Durant. So to the question and the point, I do disagree with the beat writer's take on this because Kevin is his own guy, and he is prone to do some weird stuff. You know, he'll shock the world. He'll go to Golden State.
Right.
Well, why wouldn't he? Again, I agree with the premise of he's competing with LeBron for legacy. Well, why wouldn't he say, gee, I just won my 3rd straight championship in Golden State, if in fact they do this year. And he could say, gee, I was the finals MVP for a 3rd straight year, which I think he's got a real shot at being. Why wouldn't I then go save LeBron's legacy?
goodness.
Because that would actually enhance my legacy. I won 3 straight championships in Golden State, and I was the finals MVP 3 straight times. Then I went to LA and I saved LeBron. Well, that would be great. What a great cap to a career.
It would be great
It
if
would
you
be
thought.
great. No,
Only you think, first of all,
Yeah.
how do you save a man's legacy that has 4 regular season MVPs, 3 finals MVPs? He's won more Player of the Weeks and Player of the Month than any other player in NBA history, and he's going to be the all-time leading scorer in NBA history.
He's 3-6 in the finals. 3-6. So how many times did he get to eat at your restaurant? Only 3. 6 nights. 6
came.
times.
He came,
6
though.
times he came and knocked
No,
on the
the
door,
people
and Shannon said,
everybody-
we can't let you
Everybody
in.
don't get to come to my restaurant.
6 times?
Everybody can't eat there because it's an unknown location.
Can you imagine LeBron James being stuck out on the street in front of Shannon's restaurant, calling Uber, saying, can you come get me because I can't get in?
Oh, he coming in. More times than not, he
He's
comes
not.
in. Oh,
3-6.
It-
But he could be 4-6 if Kevin Durant said, hey, I'll save you.
Might be, hey,
Yeah.
I got a sneaky suspicion that when it's all said and done, LeBron will be 6-6.
Huh, 6-6. And how's that going to happen? That means he's going to win 3 championships in LA?
3!
So which years? He's not going to win in year 16. So you're talking about year 17, 18, and 19 of his career?
Soon as KD and Kawhi arrive.
Oh, KD and Kawhi. I think only KD. Because Kawhi, we know he'll quit on you.
No, don't do that, Skip. Don't do that. Don't do that. The man was injured.
He was injured.
They say he looked good out there at UCLA, though.
Oh, they
Is that
didn't
what I heard?
say that.
That's what I heard?
I heard he got hurt. but
That's what I
don't
heard.
Got an
Skip.
insider there?
Yeah.
Okay.
know. You know
Well, let's
what?
go over there, Skip. It's right down the street from me. We can just shoot over there and watch.
This is killing you because you know in your heart of hearts that there's only one move to be made here for LeBron James, and it's to get Kevin Durant. And I was told by a source very close to Kevin that LeBron did check in with him this year because he was free. He was a free agent.
We kicked the tires on a lot of things.
Well,
We
you
kicked the
should
tires
have.
on Paul
You should
George.
have.
We kicked the tires on.
And
on
I was also
showing
told
up.
that Kevin is open to listening next year, depending on what happens. What will the Lakers look like with LeBron? What will it play like? What will it feel like? Well, you don't know that.
I do.
It could be a disaster.
No, that
What
would be a
will
disaster.
DeMarcus Cousins work or not work in Golden State? I don't know. I mean, will they fall apart because DeMarcus Cousins can't find a place?
But that thing sure look nice.
Yeah.
KD and LeBron together, that sure look nice. I think we deserve that. This is what the people want to see.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, we need to see this.
You know, some people they could start making a case that KD's the GOAT. you know?
Oh,
I mean, they could. They could.
Okay, I'm not saying that you're right. There might be a possibility somewhere down the.
I keep putting him in positions where he can fight back and take shots at Kevin Durant, and he will not do it because he knows.
I mean, down the line, there might be some time to give consideration for Kevin Durant being the GOAT.
You can't keep doing that right before we end a conversation. Throw out something. He doesn't have time to respond.
Perfect.
No mercy.
Thanks as always for listening to the Undisputed podcast. I'm Jenny Taft. We're back at the same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports, 1 of 1.